I never believed a TV show could actually change your life. Not in the way people say, like it inspired me, or it made me see the world differently. I mean, I never thought a show could reach out from the screen, crawl into your head, and start rewriting your dreams. But that's exactly what happened to me, and if you're watching this, maybe it's already happening to you too. It started on a Thursday night, the kind where the rain just won't stop, and the city feels like it's holding its breath. I was alone in my apartment, scrolling through Netflix, looking for something to distract me from the usual spiral of work stress and insomnia. I'd already watched all the big shows, Stranger Things, Black Mirror, The Haunting of Hill House. I wanted something new, something I hadn't seen 100 times in memes or TikTok edits. That's when I found it, or maybe it found me. The show wasn't trending, it wasn't in my recommendations, and I swear I'd never seen the thumbnail before. It was just there, tucked between two reality shows I'd never watch. The title was simple, Night Feed. The description was even simpler, Some dreams are meant to be shared. No cast list, no reviews, no trailer. Just a single looping preview, a flickering hallway, a door at the end, and a voice whispering, "Are you awake?" I should have scrolled past. I should have picked something safe like a cooking show or a sitcom rerun. But there was something about that preview. The way the door at the end of the hallway seemed to pulse like it was breathing. The way the voice sounded almost familiar, like someone I'd forgotten but used to know. I clicked play. The first episode started with static like an old VHS tape. The screen was dark except for a single flickering light bulb swinging from the ceiling. The camera moved slowly, almost reluctantly, down a narrow hallway lined with peeling wallpaper. I could hear footsteps, but they didn't match the camera's movement. They were heavier, slower, like someone was following just out of frame. The main character, if you could call her, that was a woman in her late 20s, pale and tired, looking with dark circles under her eyes. She never said her name. She just wandered the house, checking locks, peering through windows, whispering to herself. Every so often she'd stop and stare at the door at the end of the hallway. The door was always closed, but sometimes it would rattle just a little, as if something on the other side was trying to get out. The episode was only 20 minutes long, but it felt like an hour. There was no music, just the hum of the light bulb and the distant sound of rain. The woman never left the house. She never answered her phone, never turned on the TV, never ate or slept. She just waited and watched and listened. When the credits rolled, I realized I'd been holding my breath. My heart was pounding and my hands were cold. I tried to shake it off, just a weird, artsy horror show, right? But when I went to turn off the TV, the Netflix app glitched. The screen flickered, and for a split second, I saw my own hallway reflected on the screen. Not the show's hallway, mine. Same peeling paint, same flickering light. I blinked and it was gone. I told myself it was just a coincidence. Maybe the show was filmed in my city. Maybe the set designer had the same taste in ugly wallpaper as my landlord. I went to bed trying to laugh it off, but that night I had the first nightmare. It started the same way as the show. A dark hallway, a flickering light, a door at the end. I was standing in my own apartment, but everything felt wrong. The walls were too close, the shadows too deep. I could hear footsteps behind me, slow and heavy, but when I turned around there was nothing there. I tried to move, but my legs felt like they were stuck in mud. The door at the end of the hallway started to rattle louder and louder, until it sounded like someone was pounding on it from the other side. I woke up gasping, drenched in sweat. My phone said it was 3:33 a.m. I got up, checked the locks, turned on every light in the apartment. Nothing. Just the rain and the hum of the fridge and the echo of that voice in my head. Are you awake? The next day I tried to forget about it. I went to work, answered emails, pretended everything was normal. But I couldn't shake the feeling that something had followed me out of the dream. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw that hallway. Every time I heard footsteps in the office, I flinched. I told myself I was being ridiculous. It was just a show, just a nightmare. But that night, when I opened Netflix night feed, was at the top of my continue watching list. I didn't remember adding it. I didn't remember finishing the first episode, but there it was waiting for me. The thumbnail had changed. Now the door at the end of the hallway was open just a crack, and something pale and thin was peeking out. I hesitated, thumb hovering over the remote. I should have stopped. I should have deleted my account, thrown my TV out the window, done anything but press play. But I didn't. I told myself I needed answers. I told myself it was just a show. I pressed play. The second episode began with a close-up of the woman's face. Her eyes were bloodshot, her lips cracked. She looked straight into the camera, as if she could see me watching her. For a moment I thought she was about to speak, but instead she just started crying silent, shuddering sobs that made my skin crawl. The camera pulled back, revealing that she was sitting on the floor, her back pressed against the door at the end of the hallway. The door was shaking now, not just rattling, but buckling, as if something enormous was trying to break through. I felt a chill run down my spine. The show was different this time. The lighting was harsher, the shadows deeper. The woman's movements were jerky, unnatural, like a puppet with tangled strings. She kept glancing at the corners of the room, flinching at sounds I couldn't hear. Every so often the screen would flicker, and for a split second I'd see flashes of other places, an empty playground at night, a hospital corridor, a subway car with all the lights off. Each time the same voice whispered, "Are you awake?" Halfway through the episode the woman started talking to herself. At first it was just muttering, but then the words became clearer. "He's coming," she whispered. "He knows I'm here. He knows you're watching." She looked up, her eyes locking with mine through the screen. "Don't look away," she said. "If you look away, he'll find you instead." I felt my heart pounding in my chest. I wanted to turn off the TV, but I couldn't move. It was like I was paralyzed, trapped in my own living room. The woman crawled away from the door, dragging herself down the hallway. The camera followed her, the angle tilting and swaying as if it were being carried by something unseen. The door at the end of the hallway burst open, and a wave of darkness spilled out, swallowing the light. The woman screamed, but the sound was muffled, like it was coming from underwater. The screen went black. For a moment I thought the episode was over, but then words appeared on the screen, white letters on a black background. Episode 3 will begin in 10 seconds. I scrambled for the remote, desperate to stop it, but my hands were shaking so badly I could barely hold on. I managed to exit the app, but the image of the woman's terrified face was burned into my mind. I sat there for a long time staring at the blank TV screen. My apartment felt colder, the shadows longer. I tried to tell myself it was just a show, just a really well-made piece of horror. But deep down, I knew something was wrong. The show felt personal, like it was speaking directly to me. And the nightmares were getting worse. That night, I dreamed I was back in the hallway. This time I wasn't alone. The woman from the show was there, crouched in the corner, her eyes wide with terror. She reached out to me, her fingers long and thin, her nails cracked and bleeding. "Don't look away," she whispered. "He's here." I turned and saw the door at the end of the hallway slowly creaking open. Something was moving in the darkness beyond, a shape, tall and thin, with too many joints, and not enough skin. It crawled toward us, its movements jerky and unnatural, just like the woman's. I tried to run, but my legs wouldn't move. The thing reached out its fingers, brushing my face, and I woke up screaming. I didn't sleep for the rest of the night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw that thing crawling toward me. I started leaving all the lights on, checking the locks every hour, jumping at every sound. My friends noticed I was on edge, but I couldn't tell them the truth. How do you explain that a Netflix show is haunting your dreams? The next day, I tried to find out more about Nightfeed. I searched online, but there was nothing, no reviews, no fan theories, no Reddit threads. It was like the show didn't exist outside of my account. I even tried to take a screenshot of the show's page, but every time I did, the image came out blank. I started to wonder if I was losing my mind. Maybe I'd imagined the whole thing, maybe the stress and lack of sleep were finally catching up to me. But then I got a message. It was from an unknown number. The message was simple. Are you awake? Attached was a photo, a blurry image of my apartment building taken from across the street. My blood ran cold. I looked out the window, but the street was empty. I called the number, but it went straight to voicemail. I blocked it, but the messages kept coming, always the same question. Are you awake? I tried to ignore them, but the nightmares kept getting worse. Every night, I dreamed of the hallway, the woman, the thing behind the door. Sometimes I'd wake up with scratches on my arms, bruises on my legs. I started to wonder if I was sleepwalking or if something was happening to me while I slept. One night I woke up to find my TV on the Netflix app open, Nightfeed playing. I didn't remember turning it on. The episode was halfway through, the woman on the screen sobbing her back against the door. She looked up, her eyes meeting mine. He's almost here, she whispered. Don't look away. I turned off the TV, unplugged it, and sat in the dark shaking. I knew I had to do something. I couldn't keep living like this, trapped in a cycle of fear and exhaustion. I decided to go to the police. At the station, I tried to explain what was happening. The officer listened patiently, but I could tell he didn't believe me. He asked if I'd been taking any medication, if I'd been under a lot of stress. I showed him the messages, but he just shrugged. Probably a prank, he said. Change your number, get some rest. I left the station feeling more alone than ever. I knew I couldn't count on anyone else to help me. Whatever was happening, I had to face it myself. I spent the next day in a fog, barely able to focus at work. Every time my phone buzzed, I jumped. Every time I saw a shadow move in the corner of my eye, my heart skipped a beat. I tried to distract myself with podcasts, music, anything that would drown out the echo of that voice. Are you awake? But nothing worked. The fear was always there, just beneath the surface, waiting for the sun to go down. That evening, I made a decision. I was going to confront whatever was happening head on. I set up my phone to record video, pointed it at my TV, and sat down with a notebook. I wanted to document everything, every detail of the show, every glitch, every strange occurrence. If I was losing my mind, I wanted proof. If something else was happening, I needed to know. I opened Netflix. Nightfeed was waiting for me, the thumbnail now showing the door wide open, darkness spilling out, and a pale hand reaching through. My stomach twisted, but I pressed play. The third episode began differently. This time the camera was in a new location, a child's bedroom dimly lit by a nightlight shaped like a crescent moon. Toys were scattered across the floor, and the woman from the previous episodes was sitting on the edge of the bed, rocking back and forth. She looked older now, her hair streaked with gray, her eyes hollow. She was whispering to someone off screen, her voice barely audible. Don't let him in, she said. He only comes when you're asleep. If you stay awake, he can't find you. The camera panned to the window where rain was lashing against the glass. Lightning flashed, illuminating a figure standing outside, a tall, thin man with no face, just a smooth expanse of skin where his features should be. He pressed his hands against the glass, leaving smears that looked like blood. The woman started to cry, her body shaking with fear. She crawled under the bed, pulling the covers down behind her. The camera followed, squeezing into the darkness beneath the bed. For a moment everything was silent except for the sound of her breathing. Then a hand reached down from above, fingers, impossibly long nails, scraping against the floorboards. I felt my own breath catch in my throat. The show was more than just unsettling. It was invasive, like it was reaching through the screen and touching something inside me. I glanced at my phone, making sure it was still recording. The screen flickered, and for a split second I saw my own reflection in the black glass of the TV. My face looked wrong, pale, hollow-eyed, just like the woman's. The episode ended with the woman whispering, "If you're watching this, it's already too late." The credits rolled, but instead of names, the screen filled with a list of numbers, phone numbers, addresses, dates. I recognized my own number, my own address right there in the middle of the list. I froze. My hands started to shake. I tried to pause the video, but the remote wouldn't respond. The numbers kept scrolling faster and faster until the screen went black. My phone buzzed. Another message. "Are you awake?" This time there was a video attached. I hesitated, but curiosity got the better of me. I pressed play. The video was grainy, shot from a low angle. It showed me sitting on my couch watching TV. The timestamp was from just a few minutes earlier. I looked around my apartment, heart racing. The windows were locked, the door was bolted. How could someone have filmed me without me noticing? I called the police again, but they were no help. "Probably just a hacker," they said. "Change your passwords, get a security camera." I did both, but it didn't make me feel any safer. That night I didn't sleep. I sat in the living room, all the lights on, clutching a baseball bat. Every so often I'd check the security camera feed on my phone, but nothing ever showed up. Just the empty hallway, the rain tapping against the windows, the hum of the fridge. At 3:33 a.m. my TV turned on by itself. The Netflix app opened and Night Feed started playing. I tried to turn it off, but the remote was dead. The woman was back, sitting in the hallway, her eyes fixed on the camera. "He's here," she whispered. "Don't look away." The screen flickered, and for a moment I saw the tall, faceless man standing in my own hallway, just outside the living room. I spun around, but there was nothing there. When I looked back at the TV, the woman was gone. The hallway was empty, the door at the end wide open. I unplugged the TV, but the screen stayed on, the image burned into the glass. I covered it with a blanket, but I could still see the faint outline of the hallway, the open door, the darkness beyond. I tried to call my friends, but no one answered. My phone kept buzzing with messages from unknown numbers, all asking the same question. "Are you awake?" I blocked every number, but new ones kept popping up, each with a different area code, a different country. I started to wonder if I was the only one. Maybe other people had watched the show, maybe they were having the same nightmares. I searched online again, this time using the numbers and addresses from the credits. Most of them led nowhere, abandoned buildings, empty lots, disconnected lines. But a few were real. I found a forum post from someone in another city, describing the same show, the same nightmares, the same messages. Their post ended abruptly mid-sentence. I tried to reply, but the forum was gone, the page deleted. It was like the show was erasing any trace of itself, covering its tracks. I realized then that I was trapped. The show wasn't just a show, it was a contagion, a virus that spread through screens and dreams. And now it was inside me. I stopped going to work. I stopped answering calls. My world shrank to the size of my apartment. The glow of my phone, the hum of the TV, even unplugged it, seemed to pulse with a life of its own. I tried to tell myself it was all in my head, that I was just tired, just stressed, just another casualty of too much screen time and not enough sleep. But every night the dreams got worse. I started seeing the faceless man everywhere, in reflections in the corner of my eye, in the static between channels. Sometimes I'd catch a glimpse of him standing at the end of my hallway, just watching, waiting. I'd blink and he'd be gone, but the feeling of being watched never left. I stopped sleeping altogether, afraid of what I'd see if I closed my eyes. One night, desperate for answers, I decided to go back to the beginning. I rewatched the first episode of Night Feed, this time with the volume muted, the brightness turned all the way up. I watched every frame, looking for clues, for anything I'd missed. That's when I noticed it hidden in the wallpaper, in the shadows, in the flicker of the light bulb. Faces, dozens of them pressed into the walls, their mouths open in silent screams. And in every episode, the faces got clearer, closer, until by the third episode, they were almost reaching out of the screen. I realized then that the show wasn't just telling a story. It was feeding on something: my fear, my attention, my sleepless nights. The more I watched, the stronger it got. The more I tried to look away, the more it forced itself into my life. I wondered how many others had fallen into the same trap, how many had disappeared without a trace, their stories erased, their nightmares recycled for the next viewer. I tried to warn people. I posted on forums, sent emails, even tried to make a video of my own. But every time I tried to upload something, the file would corrupt, the post would vanish, my account would get locked. It was like the show was one step ahead of me, always watching, always listening. The messages kept coming, more frequent, now more urgent. Are you awake? Don't look away. He's almost here. Sometimes the messages would include photos, shots of my apartment from impossible angles, images of me sleeping, even though I hadn't slept in days. Once I got a video of myself watching TV, but in the reflection of the screen I could see the faceless man standing behind me, his hand on my shoulder. I started to lose track of time. Days blurred into nights, meals went uneaten, calls went unanswered. My friends stopped checking in. My family thought I just needed space. I was alone except for the show, the messages, and the thing in the hallway. One night, as the rain hammered against the windows and thunder shook the walls, I heard footsteps in the hallway, slow, deliberate, impossibly heavy. I grabbed the baseball bat, heart pounding, and crept toward the door. The footsteps stopped just outside. I pressed my ear to the wood, holding my breath. A voice, low and distorted, whispered, "Are you awake?" I flung the door open, swinging the bat, but the hallway was empty. Just the flickering light, the peeling wallpaper, the door at the end, now wide open, darkness spilling out like ink. I felt a cold wind rush past me, carrying the scent of wet earth and something rotten. I stepped back, slamming the door shut, but the feeling of dread only grew. That night I dreamed I was back in the hallway, but this time I wasn't alone. The woman from the show was there, her eyes hollow, her skin stretched tight over her bones. She reached out to me, her fingers brushing my cheek. "It's too late," she whispered. "He's already inside." I woke up to find the TV on the Netflix app open, Night Feed, playing on a loop. The screen was filled with static, but beneath the noise I could see faces, hundreds of them, all staring at me, their mouths moving in silent screams. I tried to turn it off, but the remote was dead, the power cord unplugged. The screen just kept flickering, the faces getting closer, clearer. I realized then that the show wasn't just a show. It was a door, a gateway, a way for something to cross over from the other side. And by watching, by letting it into my life, I'd opened that door wide. I don't know how much longer I can hold on. The messages never stop. The nightmares never end. Sometimes I see the faceless man standing at the foot of my bed, his hands reaching for me, his voice whispering, "Are you awake?" I try to fight it to stay awake, but I'm so tired. So tired. If you're watching this, if you found this story, please don't look for the show. Don't try to find Night Feed. Don't let curiosity get the better of you, because once you start watching, it never lets you go. It follows you, haunts you, feeds on you, and the more you try to escape, the tighter its grip becomes. I don't know if anyone will ever see this. Maybe the show will erase it like it did with all the others. Maybe I'll just disappear, another face in the wallpaper, another scream lost in the static. But if you're out there, if you're awake, remember this. Some dreams are meant to be shared, but some nightmares are better left alone. And if you ever hear a voice whispering from the darkness, asking if you're awake, don't answer. Don't look away, and whatever you do, don't open the door.